Is that right? But we're not. This isn't that formal, so. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. It means a lot to see all of you. Romper Room, a children's television program for children's television kindergarten by Bert and Nancy Claster. It's not happening?
No, it's moved towards you. Act like you're eating it for an ice cream.
Yeah, guess I'll have to. She took it out, I didn't. Okay. All right, how's that? Thank you. Okay. I have a script. I'm going to lean toward it because I have been told by many people I'm too wordy. I even have been accused of having my voice back already. So I want you to be a little bit informed. Most of you know about it, but children's television kindergarten began by Bert and Nancy Claster in Baltimore, Maryland. Miss Nancy was the teacher for years and then later broke her daughter in, and she taught the class that I was in. I was flown to Baltimore for a week to learn all the different segments of the program and got a little workbook that told about it and how to introduce it and what to do. Of course, a lot of that I've forgotten already, so forgive me. But there was instruction in manners, letters and numbers, physical education or fitness, games, and specific toys. And then we closed with a little golden book and the magic mirror. Each day was scripted from headquarters in Baltimore, Maryland, mailed about a week ahead of time, sometimes 2 weeks, depending on what was asked, with instructions included in the booklet that we brought home with us. It was the only program of its kind. It was syndicated, live, international. The only one that even came close with Jack LaLanne, the exercise guru, who was not live. He was actually taped. But you'd find found the same thing in every market. They even went international. They were in Spain and in France and other countries. Making videos, which is a big break in my heart, was the one thing that we were not allowed to do. The parents had to sit outside and watch in the lobby, and that was understandable. This was for 4 and 5-year-olds, and for a 6-week period, and it rotated 3 new ones and 3 old ones every week. And because of that, there was no video made except one when the main office would want us to come to send a video so they could kind of keep track of what we were doing. They also sent what they call producers about once every 6 months, 6 weeks to 2 and 3 months to help sell the show. If our advertising people were not getting there or couldn't understand it or were losing somebody, then they'd come and help. And then there was one always for the local station in case there was an emergency. And some of you may remember, I'm off script now, the time that I ended up in the hospital for a week and we had one replacement video, and the fellow who played the monkey, Tom Ledbetter, the monkey on John Chick's show, was my floor manager, and he took over and did the show for the rest of the week for me, and it meant a lot. And of course he knew what he was doing, and so he was very familiar with it, but it meant a lot. When I got back from California, I called to see if I could get the video from Romper Room International. Oh, we had a fire and all of them were burned. When I called the local station, when it was sold, they were all thrown in a truck. Nobody seems to know where they went. So anyway, but fortunately I had pictures, etc., and a lot of the display you can see in the other room, and hopefully you'll take advantage of that while you're here, but if you don't, come back and see it again. The show began with a flag salute every morning. Would you please stand and join me at this time? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The show closed with a story from the Little Girl in the Book, The Magic Mirror, and after a short prayer, well, the Magic Mirror was final, but after a short prayer, the children had milk and cookies provided by the different sponsors. The week begins with Mr. Doobie, who introduces new good manners each week, and then Mr. Don't Be, who was the opposite behavior. As a warning, the board can be seen behind my picture on the display in the other room. Do be nice to friends. Don't be friendly to strangers. Do be a put-away. Don't be a lever-outer. Do be a sidewalk player. Don't be a street player. I'll sing it with the tape, or it will sing, and we'll sing the echo together. Please join me.
I was waiting on Mr. Music.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Music. I always do what's right. I never do anything wrong. I'm a romper room doobie all day long.
Doobie, a sidewalk player.
Doobie, a sidewalk player.
Don't be a street. Don't be a street player.
Don't be a
Car sitter.
don't be
Car sitter. Don't be a car stander.
don't be a car stander.
Doobie, a plate cleaner.
Doobie, a plate cleaner.
Don't be a food fussy.
Don't be a food fussy.
Doobie, a play safe.
Doobie, a play safe.
Don't be a match toucher.
Don't be a match toucher.
Sidewalk player.
Sidewalk player.
Car sitter.
Car sitter.
Plate cleaner.
Plate cleaner.
Play safe.
Play safe. Sing along, remember? Always do what's right. I never do anything wrong. I want to doobie all day long. Thank you very much. A calendar was consulted 2 or 3 days a week, noting the date, the day of the week, as well as the weather. Physical education was stressed with certain props, often toys that could be bought at a certain toy sponsor and can be purchased, but not all toys were provided. They didn't carry everything. And that we were taught, the children were taught to take part, to be a part of the program, play right along with the children that were on the television. And so sometimes they had to kind of make up their own thing. And one of the things we liked to do was the Doobie Dance. And you can dance right now where you are or move out into the aisle, but remember you're being a bee, so don't forget the buzz part. Mr. Music, please.
We need a little bit.
I didn't get it here with everything. The remote didn't come, and so you can't change it exactly.
Oh, wait a minute. Disregard it.
So.
It loves around, round and round, and doobies do. Keep those feet flying.
Doobie doo, keep those wings flapping. Doobie doo, there is to it. That's the way to do it. The doobie 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 dance. Doobie 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 doobie.
So let's
That's the way to do it, the doobie 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 dance. There is to it, that's the way to do it, the doobie 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 dance. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Music. Safety chief cars were rectangular boxes painted red and black on the sides and on the back, kind of like a fire truck, with the ends folded in or cut off, and the children could hold the sides and drive them around the studio. Now, this was not part of this lesson. This was part of my lessons way back when, but it was a lot shorter and a lot easier. Stop, look, and listen. stop, look, and listen when crossing the street. Any of you remember? Use your eyes, your ears, and then use your feet. All of you can pass this on to grandchildren or nephews or nieces, things like this that you've seen. I'm sorry we didn't get any more children than we did today, but I have my great-grandchildren here, so and they're probably too bashful, so they won't go along. And then, I don't remember having romper stompers. You still can't hear? Sorry, that's why. Okay, appreciate it. I don't remember having enough romper stompers in the studio for the children. I'm not even sure they were sold. I don't know where I got mine, but they're out in the, what did you call it, Maggie? It's not a kiosk, it's a...
Case. What? I think it's a big case. Pedestal case.
The what?
Pedestal.
Pedestal, thank you. Those are pedestals. And it's out there in the display. And one of the things we suggested to the children was that if they could get their parents to help, take a tin can, put holes in the sides, and stick a rope in both sides with the knot, so it doesn't slip out, and walk like you're walking on stilts, because that's what this was. When I went to Video Revolution, I have to put in a plug for them because they took me in a hurry. The fella who did my CD for me remembered Romper Room, and he said, I don't know if he said they couldn't afford romper stompers or they weren't for sale. But he said, Mom, get me my juice in tin cans and I'll make my own. And I already had written this down, telling, this was how we had instructed children. I mentioned it, I don't know, talking about it, but he knew. And he said, when I got into 4th grade, I got to graduate to stilts because I had all my practice on the romper stompers. Okay, we also acted out animals such as elephants, snakes, and actually had real stick horses with the head on it and everything. I started to bring a broom handle, and I thought that was a little dangerous, but any of you want to make your feet gallop while you're sitting there, well, enjoy that and have a gallop just next to each other right there at your seats. Mr. Music, please. And gallop, oh come with us and gallop to Romper Room today. Now keep in mind the children at home could gallop around without anything. Nearing the 3-year mark of the program, and I had wanted 2 children 4 years apart. I had wanted children 4 years apart. I went in to discuss this with my program director, tell him what my situation was. Could we continue with the program if I did get pregnant? And I have to read this. If you can crawl around on the floor like you did today with the alligators, it won't bother me a bit. At that time, I didn't know we would be moving, but it was a consolation that the world, society, was changing a little. Caring for animals, with the cooperation of a pet shop, who loaned different animals during the time they were asked for on the program for credit on the show. We talked about kindness, as well as safety around animals that were unfamiliar to a child. I picked up whatever animal was available or chosen for that day. The shop was on my way, and I took it on my way home. When I knew we were leaving, I let my then 3-year-old show his dog. He had literally grown up with the show, and I hoped he would understand what Mommy was doing. I found out what he was doing. I don't remember any marching we ever did, but when I began to set out dinner for company one day, I pulled out 2 sherbet glasses that were disconnected, the bowl from the stand. Very creative, made great symbols. Special times. At one time during the year, we were instructed to have an incubator or a tape made of eggs hatching, probably around Easter time. My father happened to be telling people about laundry. We didn't have anything to film with. We didn't have chickens. We didn't really, we knew people in Skiatook. There were lots of farms around, but it was just kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And my dad was telling the ag teacher at Skiatook about it, and he said, well, I've got some duck eggs hatching. Will that be all right? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I'll just film those for and bring her the 8mm. He got up in the middle of the night to take those duck eggs for me, and we had them on the show. There's no tractor supplier outlets to go to. But how do you thank someone for something like that? Another time I visited a beekeeper. Now, oh yes, okay. This one is a little involved. Maybe you can get the boys to do this one, but I don't know if we'll play the music or not. Mr. Music, we'll wait and see, all right? This one's called Bend and Stretch, which is a super exercise for all of you. You bend, oops, and stretch. Reach for the stars. There goes Jupiter. Here comes Mars. Bend and stretch. Reach for the sky. Stand on tippy toe, oh so high. And of course that was one they could do without any toys. Say it with me, and while I do it one more time. Bend and stretch. Reach for the stars. There goes Jupiter. Here comes Mars. Bend and stretch. Reach for the sky. Stand on tippy toe, oh so high. Thank you. Thank you. Special holidays. Romper Room office provided children's size costumes with masks to wear on the program on the day of or the date before Halloween, and the children could take them home. There's one on the pedestal, but the mask is severely disintegrated. It didn't hold up over the years. But you can see, and of course it was made for that age, just like the costumes, all the other costumes in the boxes. They didn't send all Doobie costumes, they sent a couple. And so I have to tell the story on that one. I don't have to, but I like to. There was a mother called me, and she said, I'd like to get my son on early. She said, we've written a letter, but you haven't gotten to it yet. No, I hadn't. And she said, my son has leukemia. And she said, could you possibly put him in somewhere? And I said, I certainly will. And so I arranged to see him. We always were supposed to interview the child before they came on the air. There were only 2 ways we could not accept them. One was if they were disabled to where they couldn't do the games, because we were trying to encourage children to exercise, to be fit. The other one was if we could not understand them. And I'd had no physically disabled, but I've often wondered if that's why part of the show partly closed. I don't know. But I had a little girl, didn't talk real plain, but I took her anyway because, as I said, we were required to. And I figured the kids didn't do all that much talking, but she happened to be there the week that we did the animals. And we were talking about the sounds of animals. And I asked the child, now keep in mind, all of you, I think, no, I'm deaf in one ear and can't hear out the other. And she kept telling me, and she insisted on, saying, I kept asking her. She knew she was welcome to, to say. Finally, the guys on the floor said, snake! Still snake. Still sticks where I came out. I had no clue. Rattlesnake was what she said. And so you learn a lot when you have 4- and 5-year-olds, because I trained for elementary music, but not for preschool. before Thanksgiving, I walked among turkeys at a turkey farm. Heard the lead gobblers begin their call. I'll be the lead gobbler, and then you follow that sound right after me, or about the same time. Ready? Best you can do, and that'd be perfect. Okay. All right. Christmas. For 2 years, Christmas stamps from Community Chest were forwarded to fill a large number puzzle, contributed to counting. Kevin, in the bottom of that red bag is a CD case with the stamps in it. Yes, I keep everything. At the end of the Christmas season, it made up a puzzle, and the parents sent through the mail, they sent take a basket, pass it on down if you don't want one at all. But practice, use it on your head, just sitting still. You're not going to walk around with it. We will play the song. But go ahead, these were, we had a hard time finding these. And Neil found them for me. So, but this was kind of an example, just this one. Thank you. All of you remember getting Community Chest, then there's been other stamps come and that kind of thing. But we had these. And when the gentleman who was the chair of Community Chest, whatever, came, that's cheating. I don't remember any of the kids doing that. They turned them upside down. That's all right, turn them upside down, I don't care. But anyway, he brought me earrings made by a lady who was a helper on the show. And this was a little Santa Claus that had the sock that was part of the Community Chest signal or sign on the stamp. And there's the little bitty sock. She's even put the little sequins in it. And then another time, I don't remember it was international or what this one was about. But these were the little babushka people that were on the stamps. And she has a Community Chest seal in her hand. And then this one, I think, I'm not sure, had a bird, but I can't tell what it is. It's still there. I didn't totally mutilate it, but it was still there. But I appreciated thoughts and people thinking like that and adding to, because she was a volunteer. She just did this. And then one of the more difficult games was the posture basket. Now, show me how straight and tall you can sit. If you want to walk, feel free to stand out in the aisle and just try to take 2 or 3 steps. You can go to the middle aisle, you can go to the side aisles. There's plenty of room for everybody. But go ahead, Mr. Music, and let's play part of it, and we'll work out the rest of it. If you drop it, just bend over and pick it up. Straight and tall, I won't let my basket fall. About that, and then don't look down. Keep that basket off the ground.
Watch me move and there I'll climb. Like a soldier marching on.
Straight and strong, you see, helps to make a healthy me.
All right now, let's march along together. That's great. Don't let the basket fall.
Bend over and pick it up. There's your bend and stretch. Good for you, Maureen. All right. Don't look down. I won't let my basket fall. Eyes ahead and don't look down. Keep the basket off the ground. Here I'm high, like a soldier marching by. That straight and strong, you see, helps to make a healthy me. Mr. Music, thank you. To the Historical Society, thank you. The posture baskets are yours, and just hang on to them. Take them and share them with a friend, or put your French fries in it. I don't care. The Magic Teacher. To me, the most creative piece of work I have ever seen in a children's program. I don't watch many of the new children's programs anymore because by that time mine worked pretty well. The ones growing up I was working, I missed out on a lot of them. I mean, I know a little bit about Sesame Street, but I don't know about all the others. But it taught large and small case letters. There was an easel, a red plastic easel, stood on the floor with a poster board of each letter. At the top was the letter, and then an animal or a piece of fruit or whatever, a picture of that, like A was for apple. The easel had little holes scattered around it, had been punctured in it. The oak tag, or the poster, had small case letters scattered around it. And when you dropped the poster board into behind the easel, it showed the correct small case letter, which was immediate satisfaction. And I know there was a time in school teaching that teachers were instructed to get the papers back to the kids quicker so they could see their mistakes and correct them and learn what they did wrong, etc. And to me, this was a great invention, especially for small children like that. I don't remember any of the stores selling Magic Teacher. It was a little more expensive than most of the others. But I managed to get one. And there is the little box, the little game that they could buy to put on. And I really don't remember where mine came off. I don't buy stuff off eBay, so I don't know. Somebody probably gave it to me. Some of the things in that display were given to me. And last but not least, the favorite of all, except I'm sorry. I couldn't find punch balls, but I found punch balloons. So you kind of have to take it easy with them. You can put your posture basket on the floor under the seat in front of you, or in your hands or whatever. But I think we have plenty for everybody, or at least one per couple. And enjoy punching the punch balls. I think we have plenty basically for everybody. So. Come to these front two rows, Kevin. Pretty good, and if you get them near the balloon instead of using the long rubber band, well, you'll have better luck with it.
But it was done with your hand, right? It was done with your hand, not, I thought kids bounced around on the
No. That was another one. Yeah. There's one, this one, yes. I forgot about that, Judy. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yes, there was a great big, oversized balloon, heavy rubber, had a handle on it. And you bounced around on it. Yeah, I forgot about that. I don't even remember what they were called.
I remember that.
Mr. Music, please. So much fun. Use your wrist, your fist, keep it on the run. Punch a ball, 'cause punching's all you do. Oh, we're coming back to you. Punch a ball, 'cause punching's so much fun. Use your wrist, your hand, your fist, and keep it on the run. Punch a ball, 'cause punching's all you do. That funny keeps coming back to you. everyone.
It's a real cute ring.
Romper, bumper, stomper, boo. Tell me, do. Tell me, magic mirror, tell me today. Did all my friends have fun at play? Oh. Y'all were talking too loud. Romper, bumper, stomper, boo. Tell me, do. Magic mirror, tell me today. Did all my friends have fun at play? I'd like to think you did. I see Tracy and Judy and Ronnie and Laurel and Jamil and Lynn and Phyllis and I saw you, but you didn't hear me. Bradley, how much I appreciate all of you coming. Thank you to the Tulsa Historical Society for the wonderful display of radio and television and its evolvement through the years, as well as concluding the different children's television programming exhibits, and for asking me to participate. I also appreciate all the help from the staff, Michelle, Maggie, Brown, there's 2 Maggies here, I understand, Ian, Neal, and the others I haven't even met, in putting this personal appearance together. It's been wonderful remembering a really great experience, and I feel very honored to have been a part of this and Romper Room also. Thank you to my Sunday school class, social committee, who helped promote this program, and most of whom are here now. That was a surprise, and made this their monthly social. Also to Mr. Music, my son Kevin, who grew up with Romper Room. He was born in May. We moved from Hominy up here so his dad could go back to school. I told him, I said, he wanted to go back to school. I just want to take a couple of hours. And I said, you couldn't make it across the street. We lived in the back of behind the Phillips 66 engineering building. I said, you couldn't make it across till 8 o'clock. How are you going to drive from Hominy after you've worked all day? If I find a job, will you move? Is that okay? Yeah, it was okay. He didn't think it had happened. My mother found this in the classifieds. She was scanning them. And when she did, we didn't know what it was. We'd never heard of Romper Room. She thought it was Channel 8 putting up a daycare center up, because they were up so high, you know, that they could be close to their kids. This was an innovation. I mean, people didn't do that back then. And so he was born in May, and we started the show in August. It closed in June when we had to move, and Kevin was 3. So that was one of the weeks we were to have animals. He brought his dog, and he got to be on the show. That was actually when I began my first time teaching career, because I actually did this before I even went to school teaching. I will go on because we have some time left. When I was working, we had actually moved to Bartlesville, and I worked at civil service nights, and some of the girls asked me, they said, are you going to try out for the Romper Room program? And they knew I had been on Romper Room. And I said, I didn't know anything about it, because we didn't work at nights, you don't watch much TV. And so I called the station, and the same receptionist was on, and she said, where are you? Betty Boyd's supposed to be finding you. And I said, well, I'm not that far away, but I had moved. So I made an appointment with the program director, and if I wanted the job, I had it. They had found a girl that they liked, but I guess they told her if they could locate me, because I knew what it was. It would save them sending me to Baltimore for training, save them some money and me some time. And I told him, I said, I'm trying to put a marriage back together. And it's really funny, because it is funny. It's funny, it's funny, strange. I said, well, I'm trying to put a marriage back together. It didn't work. I came out great. It didn't work, but it's things like that in your life that you wonder if you really did the right thing. Because they put Miss Lynn in it, and we were coming back in May, and Kevin had just turned 6, and I wrote her and I said, would you consider for old time's sake putting Kevin on your program? And she was very gracious and did so. The show closed in a year. And that's one of the things, I don't know what happened to her. If they had to move to, or what happened if she just didn't like it, or they didn't have the money, or didn't want to mess with it, or couldn't find advertisers. But it's one of those things, you did the right thing, even though it came out funny. And the funny that came out was not at least my husband Dale, who when someone hasn't met him or forgets his name, calls him Mr. Peggy. To KTUL, who brought this delightful program to our city, it's been a joy and a privilege to be with you and renew old and very precious memories. Thank you. We have some time for meet and greet, but if you're in a hurry to get to Panera, you might get there before, because I know you all plan to go to Panera after you get through. But I do have some familiar friends. Ron Young and I have known each other since senior year of high school, and the Venables aren't in not my class, but I appreciate their coming, and the Wits, and Phyllis Logston, and Pam, tell me your last name now. Hicks? Yates, that's right. Okay, I do remember now. Pam's mother lived 2 doors down from me. This was behind the Phillips Engineering Building. And she came out. We didn't visit much when the show started, but the weather was still pretty. We got out and she said, I have 4 little girls. And she said, I'd love to go to work. I have most of my housework done in the morning. Yeah, right. She did. She was home. She stayed at home. Her husband worked for the Ford company. But she said, I'd love to have a part-time job to make more of their Christmas. And I said, don't let this be an insult. But I said, would you consider cleaning for me? I said, basically just running the sweeper and cleaning the bathrooms and ironing. I hated to iron. I couldn't make time to iron. I hated to iron around my baby. And I said, you leave how many hours? We agreed on a price. I said, you leave it on my calendar. When I get paid, you get paid. I sang for 3 of the girls' weddings. I didn't get in for the 4th. She eloped, didn't she? And I sang for their father's funeral, and they've been family. And I was so shocked to see Pam here, and it's so good to see her. Tell the girls what Suzanne got sick.
You were there when my husband passed away and when she took Mama.
Yeah, well, yes, I was there when her husband passed away, as well as her mom, too. So they've been special. They've been family. We don't see each other very much. And tell me who you are. You look familiar, but I didn't meet you. Yes.
Lynn Coward. I'm friends with Michelle.
Well, thank you for coming. Okay, thank you for coming. And Bradley Bear I met, and Bradley said he watched it on TV when he was a kid, but he saw us on Wednesday morning, so that's what brought him here.
I mean, what years this was?
I'm sorry, 64 to 67, 100 years ago. 1964 to 1967.
I watched the Fort Smith with my sisters.
I'm sorry?
I watched Channel 8 in Fort Smith with my sisters, so I'm sure I saw it.
Oh, yeah. Didn't make much of an impression. Oh, and then where'd Miles go?
To chase the baby.
Chase the baby. But did you like this cover?
Was it fun?
Did you have some fun? I'm glad. My granddaughter and her 2 little boys.
Oh, you want to give her a hug? Okay.
Give me a hug. Give me a hug. I love hugs. He's been kind of shy around me because he's had a finger off.